Hello, and welcome to the Voices of MCC podcast. Our hope is that you will be encouraged in your faith as you hear how MCC beliefs and practices are fleshed out in the daily lives of the members of our fellowship. And I am grateful to have Ben and Emma Burris on the podcast today, thinking about marriage. And Ben and Emma, now just over 6 months, united in marriage, still glowing with marital bliss, just like my wife Julie and I are after 20, close to 8 years now, you a few months, but we are so excited to see of the Lord's work in your marriage. Ben and Emma, welcome to the Voices of MCC podcast.
Thank you. Yes, we're excited.
Well, I want to catch listeners up here on you all and think about marriage and think about the local church and think about why, when we think about marriage, we should think about the local church. And when we think about the local church, we should think about marriages. We are recording this podcast in the midst of preaching through a series in 1 Timothy. And even this week, we'll be in 1 Timothy 5. And the criteria for widows who will be supported by the church, and those widows being known for good works and loving their husbands. And that same kind of teaching Paul gives to Titus. And so family matters for the local church. And this is what we want to think about. So let's begin here with you all and your early courtship, dating, your relationship. Ben, put you right on the spot from the jump here. What first caught your eye about Emma? Besides her smile, give us more.
Her smile was certainly part of it. She's just very sweet, very kind and friendly. And those were things that, as I was thinking about girls, I guess, really caught my eye. She was very nice, very intentional about things.
And how did you all meet, Emma? What was the connecting point in your relationship?
We had some mutual friends, friends that I went to school with that Ben was going to church with. And one day a group of us all got coffee in August 2018. And that's when we met. And we met a few times. And then we started dating in December.
So you started dating December 2018. And where did you all live at that time?
Wichita.
We were both living at home. Yeah.
I was still in high school. Ben was had just graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben, you graduated in May of 2018?
Yes.
Okay. And so just out of high school, Emma's in high school. You're there, kind of a group of friends together, and you're both believers at that point. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes.
How was that just in terms of influencing your choice of who you would or would not date? Ben, was that something that was a conviction for you that you would only look for a Christian girl?
Yes, it was. I don't think Em and I had many conversations about beliefs before we started dating. But I knew she was a Christian. I knew that she went to church. And shortly after we started dating, we figured that out more. But I knew that she was pretty solid and knew what was what before we actually started dating.
And then Emma, when you graduated, you went away to college, away from Wichita. Tell us about that and what that was like being away from Ben and as you're away at college.
Yeah, so right away in our relationship, I knew I wanted to go to Manhattan Christian College. So I think on our third date, I told Ben, I was like, be ready for long distance because I'm going to Manhattan Christian College. And he's like, all right, that's fine. We'll figure that out when we get there. And so that's probably one of the best parts of our relationship that I think gave us a really strong foundation was a year of only being able to see each other once a month we had to get really good at communication super fast. It's definitely when my faith really started to become my own, leaving my house for the first time, leaving the church that I'd kind of grown up in, going to a Southern Baptist church for the first time and figuring out my beliefs with that. And so it was a really great time for me spiritually and just getting to know Ben on a whole new level, because all we could do was phone call. We couldn't go out on dates.
And the SBC church that you began to attend, College Heights in Manhattan, and that is a point of contact for folks who've been a part of MCC for a while, because Lentz Upshaw is the pastor there, and Lentz was a member of MCC and helped to lead the chorale with Pastor Adam in the early 2000s, before Lentz and Amy went to Madison, Wisconsin, and MCC supported them there, and they came back to the area. And so I remember, Emma, when Ben told me about you the first time and where you were at, and then you came to church on a Sunday, Emma, in visiting Ben, and mentioned Manhattan and College Heights, and I think my mouth opened, my jaw hit the floor at the smallness of the world, and meeting you then and seeing your relationship. And I thought, boy, Ben's doing the right thing here in seeking after you, and the compliment that you are to him, and getting to know Ben over the last couple of years. Fun to see your relationship together. And then, Emma, you transferred, came to MBTS, and started then attending MCC. And this takes us closer to your engagement time. Ben, I remember having lunch with you, and you were talking about Emma, and you wanted to propose and what life was going to be like and so forth. What convinced you that the Lord would have you to marry her?
Well, we'd been dating a while. By the time I really started considering, we've been dating over a year. Started thinking about it, started praying a lot about it. We got along pretty well. There was no one moment which I decided, oh, I need to marry her. I kind of knew for a long time, and my conviction, it grew. But when I decided I need to figure this out, see if there's anything wrong with it, I started praying about it, started reading, started talking to people. And there was certainly nothing I could come up with to argue against it. And every time I thought about it, I thought of more reasons to pursue Emma more and to pursue marriage.
And Ben was always super intentional right from the start. He, within the first few dates, was like, if we're dating towards marriage. He always made it really clear what direction we were heading, and I always appreciated that. And I think dating 2 years was really great.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things I've appreciated about you, Ben, is intentionality and focus, and your simple faith in the Lord and seeking him and responding to him. And that's the way you have led Emma. And this is important because so often young men are timid and afraid to lead with conviction that this is what God has said. This is what we're going to do. This is the way it is. This is the way it's not going to be. But that is Christianity. It's always courageous. It has conviction as a part of its framework, and you have done that in leading Emma so far, and look forward to it even in the future. I want to think for a moment here then just about connections with MCC and your relationship, especially your MCG. So here you are dating, you're a part of this small group, and then you get engaged and so forth. What difference did it make being a part of a small group for your courtship, for your time leading up to marriage and your early marriage?
I think the main thing that has impacted me in it is just being around the older couples, being around people who have lived lives of faithful marriage and faithfulness to the Lord, and seeing them just love each other and model that. And then when we are getting engaged, getting closer to that, RMCG just did so much to help take care of us. They helped work at our wedding. They helped prepare us for stuff. Anything we needed. It was just the community of it, the love that saturated all of it. It was just great.
Yeah, and seeing the love that the husbands have for their wives in that group, like seeing how Pastor Allen treats Kathy was just so encouraging of like, that's what I want to work towards. Those are the people I want to be like in our relationship as we look towards marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we want as a church for you all and for couples who are going to be married at MCC in the year 2040.
Mm-hmm.
We always are living in the moment as humans and sometimes as believers, and we forget that there are generations to come, but the patterns that we establish now will be carried on. And whether it's at MCC for you all or wherever the Lord would have you been in your future ministry and training and all, that you are going to establish patterns that folks who are younger than you and are married in the year 2040 will follow in your steps. In other words, to be a Christian is to be a part of something much larger than ourselves. There are patterns of life that in every generation are exhibited by those who believe in Jesus' death and resurrection. And this matters for all Christians to know this, that the patterns of life are the same from Abraham and Sarah to the present moment. And that is something that is distinct about our faith. Those patterns are the same across the globe, across generations. And we want to be faithful in that. And it's just a natural way that our faith is expressed. All right, quick speed round here. And these are surprise questions. So just first answer that comes to mind. And it's a bit of a quiz. So you get to check each other. So here it is. Emma, what is Ben's favorite Marvel movie?
I don't think he has a favorite.
I don't know.
Doesn't have a favorite.
Yeah, he doesn't really have favorite movies. He just likes action movies.
Just likes them. Okay. So is that true, Ben? You do not have a favorite Marvel movie?
Probably so. I always liked Captain America, but not notably that Emma's like missing by not knowing it.
Okay. All right. Ben, what is Emma's favorite Starbucks drink?
It depends on the season because she likes the seasonal stuff.
Emma, is that correct?
Recently, it's been the cookie dough almond milk frappuccino.
Oh my, that's like 10 syllables.
No whipped cream.
No whipped cream for a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes at Starbucks you pay by the syllable.
It's true.
It's very true. Worth every dollar.
All right. Emma, what was Ben's first car? Or is it what he's driving now? I don't know.
His first car was Pontiac, is it G6?
Grand Am.
Grand Am, and his current car is a Chevy. But this is his second car.
Grand Ams, those are fun.
It was small and quick.
Yep, can get you into trouble if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Can have a little fun too, though, if you are careful.
I like to think I was.
Yes.
Yeah, I never got to see it, but I do hear about it.
I got my new car like a week before we started dating. So she never saw the Grand Am, but she saw the Chevy when it was new.
That's it. You were already maturing. You were already getting all grown up.
And like our first date, she spilled a whole Sonic drink in the cup holder.
All over his car.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That'll cut the ice right there. Yep. Yep. Ben, what is Emma's favorite Hallmark movie?
Favorite Hallmark movie? She likes them. I don't know if there's one that she likes especially.
We watched one at your parents' house with cats. I really liked that one.
Yeah, there's one we watched at my parents' house over Christmas break where this fireman had a bunch of cats dropped off at their door, and then he and his old flame fell back in love over adopting these cats out.
That is just the perfect Hallmark movie plot. A fireman and cats. I mean, what more do you need?
Mm-hmm.
That is the perfect rubric right there. Well, we had time together in premarital counseling and had a number of sessions. If you two were to give advice to couples today who are dating, let's say it's a 17-year-old couple or a couple who is just thinking about getting engaged regardless of age. Maybe they're your age, maybe a little bit older, but you're married now 6 months. You've had some experience and you've thought a lot about marriage here and premarital counseling and so forth. What would you say? What's a piece of advice that you would give to a couple who's dating or a couple then who's engaged?
I was 17 when we started dating, and it's still important then to have intentionality. Like Ben was always clear from the start, clear with boundaries, clear with where the relationship was going, clear in pursuing me. I never had any question about where we were, or what we were doing. And that was important then, and it's important now in our relationship. He was intentional with talking to my parents and having me meet his parents, and through every step of the way, just intentionality is the biggest piece of advice I could offer.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I think I'd focus on setting standards for yourselves and boundaries, and disciplining yourself, sticking to them. It's important not to get ahead of yourself, and that's hard to do, especially as you're getting towards getting engaged and being engaged. There was a time where we were kind of like, I'm just kind of ready to be married, ready to be in our next step. But it certainly wasn't anything to rush through our dating or our engagement. There's no part of it that I would change, even if I was maybe getting restless, getting impatient at times. Just having standards and like maintaining them, being intentional about it, communicating it. Yeah.
And your parents can be your biggest cheerleaders, because I know for me, my mom was with me every step of the way of like, who is this guy? What's going on? Making sure like I held to my boundaries, talking about not necessarily having a curfew, but me communicating where I was at all times, what I was doing, what time I would be home so that I was home safe and sound. And my mom was definitely like, she was my cheerleader through all of it and making sure Ben and I had the best chance for success. So even though at the time I was like, Mom, why you keep bugging me? I'm definitely so thankful now. And that's a really big asset if you have a good relationship with your parents, to use them and have them supporting you in that.
Your advice here is cogent. I love listening to what you're saying and the passion with which you say it. I just concur over and over. Biggest surprise of marriage so far? So 6 months in, biggest surprise. Ben, how about you?
Oh, I don't know. Biggest surprise. I can't think of anything offhand. Do you have anything, Emma?
Say how many meals I have to plan every week.
Yes, the labor of cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Single, like living by yourself, you know, you can just eat a bag of popcorn and then you just kind of forget that like eating 3 meals a day. So now that there's 2 of us, I'm like, oh yeah, like I got to plan food 3 times a day.
Yes.
And that's been probably the most surprising thing that I did not think about.
Yeah. Well, there are adjustments that patterns of life that we're used to, and now those patterns of life have a partner in them. And what is this going to be like? And how is this going to be accomplished here? And food is certainly one of those. Well, I'm glad that the surprises have been fairly few and mild. That means that you are ready, and that's a good thing. Well, we are excited for you and all the Lord has, and your participation at MCC, in the standards that you seek and pursue, the blessing that is to all of us. Thanks for taking a few minutes to hang out here and consider what the Lord has done, and hopefully just to give a bit of an example even for those who would come after us in 2025, 2040, whatever those dates would be. Ben and Emma, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Friends, great to be with you today. I want to say a special thanks to Alex Volkman for producing the Voices of MCC podcast, and Pastor Adam Anderson and Caleb Sheffield for their musical introductions. Until next time, the Lord bless and keep you.